Congress had not voted. Germany could have stayed out, focusing fully on the Soviet Union. But Hitler, blinded by ideology and arrogance, made another choice. Hitler underestimated America. He saw it as weak, divided, decadent, a land with no fighting spirit. In 1941, Germany produced about 5,000 aircraft a year. Hitler believed this was enough to dominate, but he ignored the true scale of American industry. Once mobilized, the US would produce 96,000 aircraft in a single year. Germany built 40,000 tanks across the whole war. The United States would build more than double. Hitler dismissed this reality. He believed distance would protect him, that America was too far away to matter. For months, Roosevelt had kept secret communications with Winston Churchill, preparing for the possibility of a joint war. Still, Roosevelt was restrained by American isolationism. Without a direct provocation, he could not drag the US into war with Germany. Hitler gave him exactly what he needed. On December 11, 1941, Hitler's declaration gave Roosevelt the gift of legitimacy. That same day, Congress voted unanimously, 393-0 in the House, 88-0 in the Senate. Within hours, the world's largest industrial power was officially at war with Nazi Germany. From then on, the clock ticked for Hitler's regime. American factories exploded with activity, turning out tanks, planes, and ships at a pace the world had never seen. Convoys fueled Britain's survival. American bombers soon flew alongside the RAF, striking Germany's cities and war industry. The arsenal of democracy had entered the fight. Hitler declared war on the United States. What seemed like a bold move soon became the beginning of his downfall. December 11, 1941, Berlin, the Kroll Opera House, temporary home of the German Reichstag.
United States. It was to be one of Hitler's greatest blunders.
Adolf Hitler stepped before his parliament, his voice rising, his face flushed with anger and defiance.
But Hitler's miscalculation extended still further.
In that charged atmosphere, he made a declaration that would change history. Germany declares war on the United States of America. The chamber erupted in applause. Generals stood, ministers smiled, and Goebbels prepared to spread the message as destiny fulfilled.
That the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday.
But in truth, it was the most catastrophic mistake of Hitler's career, a decision that sealed his fate and the fate of the Third Reich. In December 1941, Germany's great gamble in the East had collapsed. The Wehrmacht had pushed to the gates of Moscow, but Operation Barbarossa had failed. German soldiers were starving, freezing, and being driven back by Soviet counterattacks. The Eastern Front was already draining Germany's strength. It was the worst possible moment to create a new enemy. And yet, Hitler did. Just 4 days earlier, Japan had attacked Pearl Harbor. America was now at war with Japan, but not with Germany. Franklin Roosevelt had not declared war on Berlin. Hitler had counted on Japan. He imagined the empire tying down US forces in the Pacific, maybe even striking Siberia. But every assumption was false. Japan never planned to attack the USSR. The US Navy, though hurt, was not destroyed. And far from being divided, the American public was united overnight. Isolationism was dead. Americans were now committed to fight until total victory. By 1942, US troops landed in North Africa. In 1943, relentless bombing crippled German factories. In 1944 came D-Day, with American soldiers leading the invasion of Europe. And in 1945, Berlin was reduced to ruins, Hitler trapped in a bunker beneath his fallen city. Germany may never have been able to win the war, but had Hitler stayed silent, the conflict might have dragged longer. Berlin could have sought a negotiated peace with the West. Instead, his arrogance ensured disaster. On December 11, 1941, he turned a regional war into a global one and awakened an enemy he could not defeat. Declaring war on the United States was not just another front, it was the decision that doomed the Reich. By bringing America fully into the war, Hitler guaranteed his own destruction. By March 1944, the decision made in December 1941 had become impossible to escape. Somewhere over Berlin, one pilot was about to find out exactly what that meant.
For years, the Luftwaffe had ruled the European sky. Veteran aces like Galland and Barkhorn set records, new pilots dreamed of glory. The air smelled of oil, cold metal, and stale cigarettes. Orders were shouted, laughter echoed. Somewhere, a gramophone played a worn-out tune. Engines roared before dawn, mechanics worked through the night. Every flight, every mission was part of the machine. They believed the war could still be won from the air. In briefings, commanders spoke with steel in their voices, even as maps grew redder by the day. Veterans watched young recruits arrive, boys barely out of school, uniforms crisp, hands unsteady. Beneath the discipline and the songs, cracks began to show. Fuel shipments slowed, training hours dropped, and each month, the faces in the briefing room looked younger. It still looked like control, but it was only routine. They didn't know it yet, but the sky had already chosen sides. By early 1944, routine meant exhaustion. Missions over the Eastern Front, then back to defend the homeland. Pilots slept in their uniforms, each sortie blurred into the next. Endless climbs, endless smoke, endless radio calls. They still won battles, but not wars. For every bomber they brought down, two more appeared, and rumors spread of a new American fighter. Fast, long-ranged, unstoppable, one that could reach Berlin itself. 1944. Over Berlin, the sky looks calm, too calm.
Unlike the army, the
Every
Luftwaffe
morning,
had the foresight
German pilots climb into their cockpits, believing they still own this sky. They laugh, light cigarettes, and call it routine, but none of them know. Their time in the sky is running out, and this calm sky is about to change forever.
who served with the 1st Brigade.
March 3rd, 1944. A squadron of FW-190s scrambles to intercept incoming bombers. The radio crackles with static and shouts. The horizon shakes, flashes of flak and flame. One bomber bursts, another slips out of formation, dragging a black plume. Inside his cockpit, Oberleutnant Keller grips the stick. He banks left hard, fighting the G-forces. For a brief second, he thinks of home, then pulls the trigger. Tracers slice the sky. A warning light flashes red. He dives through smoke, climbs again, and barely makes it back to base. When his plane touches down, ground crews count 63 bullet holes. American gunners are getting better, someone mutters. No one laughs. That night, the airfield falls silent. Engines cool, searchlights fade, and the men return to their barracks. Keller sits on his bunk, boots still on, watching frost creep across the glass. Outside, the wind and a faint engine hum over Berlin. Something had changed in the air tonight. No one could name it. By dawn, the sky over Berlin would never look the same again.